weekly check-in with parents, folks in the community that are interested. Looks like we have about 20 people. Appreciate those of you that are attending to get updated information. Let me get our website open here. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is share a window. All right. Well, I have a short agenda here, things to go through. As always, questions come up, type them in the chat at any time. Once I get through the 5-10 minutes of information here I have to share, I will go to those. Remember, we are recording these. If you want to watch it later, or if you know someone that missed it, they'll be posted as well. All right. First thing I take you to, reminder, if you haven't been here before, this is our tab around specific information here in red for this year. The pull down is information on our options program. If I click that, would have information on specifically on that online only options program K through 12. But we're going to look here on the 2020 school year tab. Here's our recordings, and the one for today will be up by tomorrow. New information on this page since we met last Wednesday. First thing I would say is I put this link here as a placeholder. Attendance, what counts, what doesn't, what do I need to do as a parent? We're working on that document. That'll definitely be up before school starts. Next thing, county metrics update. This is the document the state puts out every week around the COVID-19 positive tests in each county. A reminder for our county, we need for any county in the state, 2 things need to be met before you can start getting 4th through 12th grade students back in the building. First one is a rate of less than 10 per 100,000. So this is Lane County. We can see the last week, Lane County only had 29 cases and the rate was in fact under 10. Only 8 people per 100,000 people in our county tested positive. However, 2 things need to happen for that metric. One is that. The second one is, reminder again, back at the top, the total test positivity rate for the state has to be under 5%, and it was at 5.1. So we still aren't in week 1, but let's say next week it's at 4.9% statewide, and here in Lane County we have another low week, we're still at 8, then that would be the first week in a streak of 3. If we had 3 in a row, then we could start talking about bringing more kids back on campus more regularly. Okay, so again, that's updated. It looks kind of like they were updating it every Monday, but now it looks like it's every Tuesday is what it has been. And I just closed out the window like a knucklehead, so hold on. Okay, back to sharing, back to the web page. So that's the second thing I wanted to mention around new information. A third document on the parent web page that's new is what to do when my child is sick. And it's really specific to 2021 guidelines. In a typical year, these wouldn't have been as stringent, or basically wouldn't have asked you to keep your child home for some of these things. But this is the guidance for this year in compliance with Lane County Public Health, what they're recommending, when it's okay to send your child to school with minor things, when you should keep your child at home, and when you should call the doctor. So again, it's an easy graphic a parent could refer to that gives them some information. Next thing new on our parent site, the second link under the OSA guidance, if you're interested in high school athletics stuff, I won't go through this all, it's a long document, but it gives you our general protocol for athletes that are in practice or will be in practice during what they call season 1, which is September through December, and then shows you how we're breaking up that, which basically is kind of 4-week segments. The first segment of September 7th to October 2nd, these are the sports that they can get together, they can work out. then a week of no activity, then our traditional fall sports for 4 weeks, then a week of no activity, and then a week or 4 weeks of our traditional winter sports, going up till the end of December, at which time, if we're still on track, regular high school sports seasons will begin December 28th. So again, I won't go through all that because it's a lot of information, but if you have high school athletes, it's a good spot to get it. Last thing I'll mention is I updated a lot of documents under school transportation. I'll go through them quickly. This general letter is either going to get mailed out hard copy or emailed out to all of our families around some general bus protocols. But there it is. Second one is around transporting my child yourself, or how parents can help if they're able to do that. Kind of describes how and why. Certainly not necessary. If you need to use our buses, we want you to do that. But it definitely is a help for those that have the ability to transport. Drop-off and pickup guidelines, a kind of comprehensive document that explains general guidelines around loading and unloading the bus, as well as specific information for each school around drop-off, pickup, and other notes. So if I have a kid at Benita Elementary, I can kind of just read this section and get most of the details there. So that should be a good document for everybody. Can I change which bus my students ride? In the past, Fernwood School District has tried to be very accommodating, despite the fact it takes a lot of work and coordination to make this happen. Unfortunately, this year will not be something we're doing. If, for example, I have an 8A kid, they're a Tuesday, Thursday student, and they're a second grader, and every Tuesday they're going to one house, and on Thursday they're going to a same house that's still within the 8A area, that's okay, as long as it's consistent. What we won't be able to do is last minute, someone calls, hey, kid can't go home, no one's home right now. So in that case, we can't put them on a different bus and mess with that cohort. We would problem solve. We'd hold the kid there for a while, get them a snack, keep them busy. Possibly a staff member could drive them home. Possibly if it's going to be a while before a parent can come, after all the bus routes were done, we could have a bus pick up the student and get them home. We'd work at ways to solve the problem, but we're not going to be able to do last minute bus passes. Something consistent. They always go here on a Tuesday, always here on a Thursday. We know that from the beginning of the year. We'll accommodate. And then finally, probably something people have been waiting for, how to know if I'm an A-day or B-day person. If I click on the A-day, and I'll try to get these flipped, but these are the streets that are A-day kids and the routes, and here's the specific map. If I live on these orange streets, I am an A-day student. I'm a B-day student if I'm on these streets or in the map. I live on these purple streets. If where you live isn't exactly clear where it is, you can either call the school or call the bus barn at 541-935-1969, and they'd make sure you knew which bus it was, which route, which day, A or B day. Another complication, and I alluded to it a minute ago, is that some folks, your kid maybe gets on the bus in the morning, you live in an A day, but in the afternoon they go to grandma's and she lives in B day territory. Well, the buses won't be going there in the afternoon. So for some families, that'll create a complication that we'll have to work on problem solving. But no, the routes will only be going morning and afternoon where those students are picked up in the morning. That's the same routes that'll occur in the afternoon. Personal protective equipment. There'll be some information coming out about that a little bit later. Same thing with food services. Those are all the things I went over, were all the new documents and new information since last Wednesday that have been put on here. We have, kind of a similar site, but it's just for staff information. If I click on staff, the first link is here. COVID-19. Typically, I haven't shown this information to the community, but it's on here for you to see. The one thing I did want to mention is around PPE. I did list some of the things available to our staff here that will be in place even by, certainly before kids come, and most of them in place when they return to work on Monday. I did want to mention specifically around ventilation, because it's a question I get a lot. What are we doing with our systems? And really there's 5 different mitigation things. I met with our technicians last week on this topic, and here's the things that we're doing to enhance our ventilation in all of our buildings. First thing is filters in HVAC systems go what's called a MERV rating, and it goes from 1 to 16. Typically schools use MERV 8 filters. MERV 1 being a filter that is the least effective, doesn't, only stops the biggest particles. MERV 16, maybe they use that in an operating room. We'll be going from a MERV 8 to a MERV 13. They cost about 4 to 5 times the amount of a MERV 8, and we have around 450 of these filters throughout our buildings. We've ordered those, they're on the way. We'll get them in place first at the elementary school, slowly get up to middle school and high school. Second thing with ventilation we're doing is we're in our buildings where we can, we have a technician coming in, reprogramming our systems to purge all the air overnight. So what that means, there'll be an hour time frame between, say, 1 and 2 in the morning when 100% air exchange will take place of the air that's in the room will be out, fresh air from outside will go in. That will create a wider range of temperatures in the morning in the room until we get our systems figured out to how can we help get them up to temperature. But that's the second thing we're doing. Third thing we're doing is creating what's called negative pressure in our isolation rooms. So our isolation rooms are simply a space in a building where if kids getting sick at school, they're coughing, they got a runny nose, maybe they got a fever, they'll go to what we're calling an isolation room. I don't know that we'll call it that at the elementary school. Maybe it'll be the break room. I don't know. And they'll just wait in there with an adult until they can get picked up. And the air in that room won't get sent back through our HVAC systems, through our filters, and then out to the rest of the building. It'll get sent directly outside. Fourth thing we'll be doing is in all the restrooms where we have the ability, we'll be running our ventilation fans 24/7 in there. And then the last thing, typically a percentage of outside air is mixed with inside air through our exchangers, goes through the system out to the building. We'll be increasing the percent of outside air. Again, it kind of depends individually on each building, as well as the temperature outside, how much we can do that. But we're going to get to the maximum in that regard in all of our buildings. So I just wanted to share some of the things around ventilation that will be taking place in our buildings before students come back, because it's a question I get a lot of. I think that's the last thing I need to share from the website. Other topics on my agenda I will go over will be a registration. If you haven't registered yet, make sure you do that. It's yesterday, today, and tomorrow at the 3 schools. There's multiple ways you can do that. You can just show up at the school, pick up the stuff, take it home, bring it back later. You can schedule an appointment, or you can do it all online from a link on each school's webpage. If you have any questions about registering, go ahead and call your school. We've started to get our staff assigned to our options program. Currently, we have 1.5 teachers about in our grades 6 through 12 options program. And we have 3 elementary teachers currently assigned to our K through 5 options program. After registration, when we get a little more solid number on how kids are accessing, in person, hybrid with their classroom teacher options, we might end up assigning more staff there, but that's currently where we're at. Meals, quick update on meals. In the spring, we were able to do what we did as far as delivering meals to any kids 0 to 18, no questions asked, take the lunch because of USDA waivers. And right now, the USDA is standing firm that they're not going to issue those. So what that means is any kid, regardless if they're in options or in 4th through 12th and they don't come on site, we'll have a lunch available to them, but they'll have to come to, right now, we only have 1 site. It'll be the high school back parking lot. There'll be a window. Car could pull through. We just take the student's name down. It'll get charged to their account. Parents can put money on their account by calling the school or doing it online. And it'll get charged to their account, and they'll get lunch. And if they want, they get the next morning's breakfast. So meals still will be available for everybody. But again, and it could change as we get closer to the 15th. But right now, I'm on site. We'll have normal breakfast and lunch at the school. It'll look a little bit different. Not as many kids in the lunchroom, that kind of thing. But if I'm not on site, I still have access to it, but we're not going to be sending it out. You have to come to the physical building. We'll have a drive-through set up. Then the last thing, I wanted to kind of pray. You're probably hearing, or you'll hear, a lot of districts. It was important to us and important to, I know, to our community to help the parents that need to get their kids in school to have that option for as many of our kids as possible. Our teachers, both teachers and classified staff, have been great to work with. They are taking on some risk, but not like a lot of other professions. And as I've mentioned to our staff, we should feel fortunate around the jobs that we have, and that we still have our jobs. And in general, our staff have been fantastic to work with. They're ready to come back to work. They're excited. At the same time, there's a lot I need to get in place for them to feel comfortable, and it will be taken on a day-by-day basis. But you're probably hearing about lots of conflicts in other districts, and particular bigger districts that aren't able to do this simply because, if we had half of our teachers, for example, saying, I'm going to take FFCRA leave, or I'm going to request a year leave of absence, we couldn't operate bringing kids back on. So I'm thankful to them. We have in total around 10 to 12 staff taking some type of leave. Maybe only 4 or 5 of them are taking a full year leave, and about 7 or so are taking 12 weeks of leave to help support their students at home. They've informed us early enough. We've been able to plan enough to be able to get things in place to accommodate them not being here. It helps that we don't have all the kids on site. So anyways, I want to thank our staff, and hopefully the community appreciates the fact that, we've got our employees ready and willing to come back to work and do this to the best of their ability, beginning here the 31st. They're going to have 2 weeks to get ready, and they will be ready to go by Tuesday the 15th, when we will be rocking and rolling. Okay, that is all the items I had to share. Let me double check my agenda here. I believe so. So if you have any questions, now would be the time to type them in the chat box. And let me close my agenda, go over here. Looks like we don't have many questions. No kids can drive. Is there a time we can get lunch, breakfast? The exact time isn't set up. But right now, I believe what they're doing is some normal lunchtime time period. So if I'm not in school, and both kids are at home and they have which could be a common problem. I don't know that we're doing that. What I would suggest, email your building principals. If I hear from a lot of people, hey, if we keep 4 staff members on site, 5 to 6, to facilitate parents coming on and getting breakfast for the next morning and a lunch, I'll do that. Or if it would really help to have an on-site option from 7 to 8 in the morning. I don't know that we could get them lunch that day, but maybe we could. But certainly breakfast. So I'll mention that to the food service director. It certainly makes sense to me that there'll be kids at home without the ability to get all the way to the high school to do this. So the more people I hear from on that, the more I will try to fund a way to make that accessible to more people. Don't we need to hit the county and state metric of under 5%? I don't believe so. The requirement, your county, well, first of all, if your county was above 5%, you probably wouldn't be under 10. So the metric, but maybe you would be. The way I understand it, we'd be in week 1 of success, of which we had to have 3 weeks in a row, if 2 things are met: county under 10 per 100,000, and state infection rate under 5%. When will we hear about technology pickup? So we're still working on that. What I can tell you is that it will definitely be the week before kids come back. So Friday the 11th, Tuesday the 8th to Friday the 11th. Somewhere in there is going to be a specific time, location at your building for technology pickup for options program kids and kids 4 through 12 in CDL. When we get exact times, locations, as soon as I get them, I'll get them out. I can tell you it's going to be those 4 days. I don't know which building, the exact times yet. Yeah, same thing on the next question. It'll be one of those 4 days. The high schoolers get their Chromebooks. And at the same time, we'll have some kind, it's all in the works right now, but we will also have either some staff parent training or some live meetings like this with our tech director, possibly working on a short Q&A or like a user guide of common problems to solve around technology. Our technology workload is high right now. We have a one-person department. We actually interviewed a couple of folks yesterday. Hope to get them on board by early next week, which is really going to allow things to pick up. But as far as dispersing devices, I'm confident we'll be ready to go. I'm confident we'll have enough devices for anyone 4th through 12 that wants one, and everyone at the high school will get one. Okay. What's that? Oh, are they? Do you know the answer to that? Okay. When will last year's yearbooks be available at high school? Typically, those don't come. I'll check on that. If you wanted to call the high school, the person to call is Julie Bothell, and her extension. Do you know that extension off the top of your head, Michelle? Bothell 2210. So if you call the high school, 8200 935 8200 2210. Typically, my recollection at the high school, they get them over the summer. I would imagine they're in, although maybe with COVID there's a little delay. But then the first few weeks or month of the school, they kind of get the spring insert edition. But I will try to get the high school to get something on their website about that. If you wanted to know right away, call the high school, that extension. If you don't get a hold of Julie, leave her a message and she can answer. Okay, any other questions from folks on here? Lastly, I just emphasize, please encourage your friends or other parents in the community to attend these. The more questions I get, the more accurate information to get out, and it helps me know what the questions are that we haven't done a good job of getting information out on. Please feel free to share anything we've talked about today. That looks like it, so I will leave it at that. Thanks again for attending, and again, I'll continue these every Wednesday through September. All right, thanks a bunch.